self-compassion, and actually just loving yourself. All right, what is going on? So, from kind of reviewing my own thoughts and kind of taking a look at my own patterns and behaviors, the conversation that I have with myself is a lot different than the conversation I have with my loved ones or the people that I care about. When I have bad habits or if I'm in a bad cycle, then I'm not as supportive as I would be for someone that I love or care about. I find that I beat myself up, I get mad at myself for little mistakes, or if I have really bad habits, then I kind of blame myself for them, and I get really upset about that, and I get really negative. So from talking to a couple of people that have reached out to me that seem like they have a similar problem, and just kind of looking at myself, I realized that I should probably address this fact. Now, essentially what this kind of ends up being is a tolerance level. If someone that I love or someone that I cares about does the exact same things, then I'm a lot less negative towards them, and I'm actually a lot more inclined to give them some, I guess, constructive criticism on what they're doing. Essentially, all of this comes down to self-compassion and actually just loving yourself. But really just having a little bit more tolerance for the mistakes you make, right? So what does self-compassion look like? What kind of habits can we pick up that are gonna help out with that? Obviously, self-compassion does fall into, starting healthy habits or starting good habits for yourself. It could even be something like, creating some sort of a positive affirmation for yourself, whether that's a verbal thing or something that you write down every single day. It could be something that you read back to yourself every single day. Some sort of an affirmation or a positive thought that something is gonna go right, and if something's gone wrong, then the steps to kind of fix that. But the other side of it is taking a look at the actions that you do or the habits that you have, and then comparing it to someone that you love or someone that you care about, and seeing, would you treat yourself the same way that you treat them? Now, this goes a couple of different ways. You wouldn't let someone that you love or that you care about make the same mistake over and over and over again. If you notice they had a bad habit and it was really hurting them, either emotionally or physically, you wouldn't let them make that same mistake over and over and over again. Most likely, hopefully, I guess. I don't know, maybe you would. But I would hope that you wouldn't obviously let your loved ones, your friends or family members make the same mistake over and over and over again, or continue a bad habit over and over and over again until they're lost completely and wondering why they hate themselves, why they hate their surroundings. The other thing you wouldn't do is you wouldn't take a look at someone who makes the same mistake over and over again, and you wouldn't say a bunch of negative things to them, like, you're being such an idiot. Why are you always like this? Why do you continue to do this? Or how have you let this happen? You wouldn't necessarily come down on them so hard. Even though you might have these thoughts, you wouldn't say these things to them. However, when we're looking at ourselves, or I guess what I should say is when I'm looking at myself and I do have bad habits, I do tend to come down negatively on myself. Basically say a lot of things to myself that I wouldn't actually say to someone that I love or care about. Just kind of think about the conversations that you have with yourself. Think about the way that you think about yourself when you make mistakes, or if you notice any of your bad habits. And instead of just kind of ripping on yourself, try and take a look at the situation and how you got into that bad habit, or why you're doing such a negative thing, and start to realize, okay, maybe it was just a bad coping mechanism, or maybe it's a habit that kind of snowballed into something a lot bigger, right? Have a little bit more compassion for yourself and start to understand why you're feeling these ways, or why you're doing the things that you're doing, how these habits have been formed, and have a positive conversation with yourself on, these are some things that you've done well, but this is something you can change in the future. If you guys have these kind of negative or reoccurring thoughts that I kind of talked about in my last video, but I'm readdressing now, try and share what works for you in the comments section, because that's going to help out a lot of people. Now, hopefully this kind of brings a new light or a new perspective on the conversations that you have with yourself, and hopefully it also kind of shows yourself where you might be lacking with self-love or self-compassion, because I know I am as well. And this was kind of an eye-opener to me, and it was brought to me by a conversation that I had with someone. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you find it positive, please do share it with someone that you care about. And if you have any tips on, how you can practice a little bit more self-love or self-compassion, please do share them so that we can all start doing it a little bit more together. You're not alone. We're all in this together. So have a good week, have a good month, enjoy the rest of 2019, and let's start building some positive habits together. Thank you guys so much for watching this. Peace out.